Welcome to Health and Wellness. I'm Dr. Jennifer Ashton. Today we are talking about nutrition and its impact on battling the obesity epidemic. And we are here in Whole Foods Market in New York City, one of my favorite places to shop. And we're joined today by guest expert Katherine Brooking, registered nutritionist. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
What do you think is the most important thing people who are trying to battle obesity need to know about good nutrition?
One of the most important things they need to know is portion size and portion control. Good nutrition doesn't have to be that complicated. So there are some, what I call some handy rules that you can use. When it comes to like fruits and vegetables, think about the size of your fist. That would be a portion of fruit or vegetables. Again, these are rough guidelines. It's not a lot. And but the good thing is you can have a lot of servings of fruits and vegetables. In fact, 2 to 3 servings of fruits and up to 9 servings of vegetables a day.
Now, does that same rule hold true for meat?
Another good gauge is a deck of cards, which is about 3 ounces. And guess what? That's a portion for any kind of poultry or meat.
Now, what about pizza?
A slice is fine. It's really plenty. People really go crazy when they start having half the pie. A lot of pizzerias now offer salads, like it's just a simple, green salad, side salad, which has a lot of volume. This produce is filled with water,
right.
So it helps to fill you up and also fiber.
So other than actually the size of what we're eating, now let's go to actually the content and
Yes.
the quality. A lot has been in the news in the last several years about the controversy between organic produce and non-organic.
Yes.
What are the pros and cons of buying organic when you're talking about fruits and vegetables?
The research now shows that there's not necessarily a higher nutritional value in some of these organically grown produce. Sometimes there is. The studies vary. What you're getting with organically grown foods often is less pesticide residue. As a rule of thumb, I like to say, okay, if you're going to have a food where something might have been sprayed directly on that food,
right.
Then you might want to go organic. So berries, apples, anything where you're really consuming the skins. Something like a banana, on the other hand, even if there was pesticides on that banana, it's not really leaching in. Yes, it has a thick skin.
So let's pretend we're starting from scratch, regardless of whether you're overweight or slim, but just poor nutrition. And where would you like us to start?
Make sure you load up your cart with fresh produce.
Okay.
That's a great place to start. Fruits, apples, oranges. The good news about the sugar in fruit is that it's naturally occurring sugar. Where people really go astray is in the processed foods that have a lot of added sugar. Yes, you can overdo it on the fruits. The recommendation for most people is anywhere between 1.5 and 3 cups per day. It does make sense, certainly from a cost standpoint, to buy in bulk. You may have a little bit more in the preparation, but if you're really cost conscious, it's well worth the effort.
Well, I'm going to take some pineapple and my pomegranate seeds and maybe some berries, and then let's head over to the fiber and grains departments.
Grains, especially carbs, got a terrible rap not too long ago. People went on this low carb craze.
Right.
But grains, particularly whole grains, are very important for the diet. They add fiber, they add B vitamins. They're also the main source of energy for our bodies. So the carbohydrate converts to glucose, which is the fuel that our muscles use, that our brains use to function.
Right.
So eliminating carbs altogether for most people, not so great.
Beans, we know, great source of protein.
Another
right?
great source of protein. Again, very inexpensive. I mean, like $1.79 per pound. This is not bad. And again, for people who are also looking to stretch their meat and poultry, it's nice to mix in some beans because it'll make that meat and poultry go a little bit further.
The other thing that's interesting, you mentioned reading the nutritional labels,
Very
which
important.
has been so publicized recently.
Yes.
And really is important. A lot of people don't look at the nutritional facts. We do have to mention that all of these nutritional facts are always based on a 2,000 calorie diet. Now, how should you alter what it says on the label based on what you actually need?
Yes, well, it's important to figure out, first of all, for every individual, what are their daily calorie needs.
And
that's
how can
a
they
function.
do that?
Well, one of the great sources is mypyramid.org, which allows you to put in your height, your weight, your age, your physical activity level, and that will give you a range of calories that you should be eating.
Mypyramid.org.
Okay. Yeah, and it's very, very simple. There's a lot of those calculators out there, but that's a good one to go to.
We're going to take a quick break for a word from our sponsor, and when we come back, I'm going to do my own shopping, and Katherine is going to grade me on my nutrition choices, and we'll see just how badly or well I do. Stay with us. So I just walked around the store. I simulated what I would normally do under time pressure. I only had about 20 minutes, and I tried to be as honest as possible with what I would put into my cart. And I want you to just quickly go through with me how you would rate my choices. Seltzer. I'm a big seltzer drinker.
I encourage people who are trying to shift off of soda to mix a little fruit juice with some seltzer or have the seltzer plain, so they're getting that bubbly, fizzy feel that they're used to from a cola, but without any calories.
Right. We are big on these in my house, the whole wheat. These are multi-grain tortillas. They're soft.
Good choice. Yeah, look at the nutrition panel too.
And the first ingredient, which is usually the most important one, right, is organic whole wheat flour.
So you know you've got a whole grain. That's exactly right. I'm so glad you pointed that out.
Now, I will confess that I've never bought these, but I'm a sucker for advertising, and I wanted to try some tofu-looking kind of meats for protein.
One of the things I'm always mindful of for these kind of packaged meats is sodium. And 140 milligrams per serving is not bad. People should know that in general, the general recommendation is 2,000 milligrams of sodium per day or less.
Right.
But for some individuals, it might be even less than that.
Sure. I actually
love
sardines. I got a couple of different kinds. I'm not sure which is best though. I got sardines packed in water, sardines packed in pure olive oil, and then sardines packed in mustard.
This is the oil packed in olive oil. It's 210 calories per can. You know, not terrible, but you can get the one packed in water for 140, so it's a significant difference.
And great source of omegas, but also great source of calcium in sardines.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you pointed that out. A lot of people don't know this. And for people who are not big dairy consumers,
this is major, right?
This is major, yes. And sardines are a wonderful source of calcium.
Cheese. I was limited in time, but otherwise I could easily fill this cart with cheese. This is a hard cheese, but I love cheese.
Yes. Good nutrition can incorporate some more decadent foods. Cheese certainly is one of them because it does tend to be high in saturated fat. But, you know, again, this is where portion control comes into play.
Right.
So if this is something that you love, have a couple of small slices on some whole grain crackers. And again, that's another snack for another day.
Now, this I thought was interesting. I picked up a coffee ice cream versus a low-fat frozen coffee yogurt just to see the caloric difference. And it's pretty interesting, actually. The ice cream had 260 calories. The low-fat yogurt had 180. And
look at the saturated fat as well.
It's huge.
It's a huge difference.
This is 17 grams of fat in the ice cream and only 2.5 grams in the frozen yogurt. And I bet the taste is probably pretty similar. It might not be identical, but if you really want to have it, this is the way to go, right?
Absolutely.
Now, it's so important. One thing that I go through constantly with my patients, and I think is really a jaw dropper when you do the numbers, is if people overeat as little as about 100 calories a day, in a week, that's 700 calories. In a month, that's 2,800 calories. Almost enough to equal a pound. A pound is 3,500 calories.
Right.
And if you do that times 12, you could be talking 12 pounds a year easily by overeating as little as 100 calories a day.
Exactly. We're heading into holiday season and we're going to be having parties and family celebrations all around food. So there's going to be some overeating there. You always want to counterbalance that, whether it's 100 calories or 500 calories, with boosted physical activity. Because, you know, whatever you put into your body, you always want to think about, okay, well, what can I do
Inverse out.
Exactly.
So many important tips. For some, maybe review. For others, it might be the first time they're hearing it. I think we can all take a little bit of time to improve our nutrition, whether we're dealing with a weight issue or not. So I want to thank you, Katherine.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for another episode of Health and Wellness. I'm Dr. Jennifer Ashton. Until next time, wishing you good health.